There's a moment, you've probably had it, where you see something and your brain just refuses to accept it as real. Not because it's magic, not because it broke any law of physics, but because it's so obviously correct, so elegantly thought through, that it makes everything you've seen before look like a rough draft. That feeling? Japan delivers it on a daily basis. We're talking roads that take care of themselves, toilets that are somehow too advanced for most countries to comprehend, buildings that share walls with active highways, and a fruit, yes, a fruit, that has been completely redesigned from the ground up. By the end of this, you're not going to be asking, how did they do that? You're going to be asking, why hasn't everyone done that? Stick around because number 14, honestly, it broke my brain a little. And look, Japan has always had this thing, this absolute refusal to accept good enough. So let's get into it. Let's start with something that sounds completely made up. A road that heats itself. Not a road with heated cables underneath it that you manually switch on, which is already impressive enough. No, Japan has developed sections of road surface, particularly in Hokkaido and other high snowfall regions, that use a combination of geothermal energy piped up from underground water systems and solar thermal storage to maintain surface temperatures just above freezing throughout winter, entirely passively. The ground does the work. Think about what that eliminates. No plow schedules, no salt trucks grinding through neighborhoods at 3 a.m., no black ice forming in the 4 hours between the last plow pass and your morning commute. The road just stays clear. Cities in Canada and Scandinavia have been trialing similar systems for years and keep running into budget and infrastructure limitations. Japan looked at their geography, which in situ eludes some of the heaviest snowfall of any industrialized nation, and decided the road itself was the solution. Unnecessarily genius, completely real. Picture the moment you arrive at a hotel room and realize checkout is in 4 minutes, but the room you're checking into is being cleaned and you're just standing there in a corridor with all your luggage and a deep sense that you've lost control of your afternoon. Japan's hotel industry, particularly the higher-end business chains like Hoshino Resorts and several of the major city hotel groups, has rolled out room management systems that don't just track which rooms are occupied. They predict, down to the hour, when specific rooms will be ready based on historical guest behavior, cleaning staff movement patterns, and real-time data from room sensors. The app tells you, before you even land at the airport, which room you'll be in and when it will be ready. Not an estimate, a commitment. And if for any reason that window shifts, you get a notification and a lounge voucher automatically. The whole thing runs so smoothly that guests sometimes assume they were just lucky. They weren't lucky. The system was that good. Every city has that one intersection that just shouldn't exist. You know the one. 5 roads converging at weird angles, no clear right-of-way, everyone kind of slowly rolling forward hoping for the best. In Japan, traffic engineers took one look at their dense urban grids, particularly in cities like Osaka and Nagoya, where historical road layouts from the Edo period still influence modern street design, and introduced what they call scramble crossings. Intersections where all traffic stops simultaneously and pedestrians can cross in every direction at once, including diagonally. The Shibuya Scramble in Tokyo became world famous as a tourist attraction, but the system is replicated at hundreds of intersections across the country. What makes it genuinely brilliant isn't just the diagonal crossing. It's the traffic signal timing algorithm behind it, adjusted in real time based on pedestrian sensor data, so the crossing phase lasts exactly as long as needed and not a second longer. Peak hour, longer phase. Quiet Sunday morning, shorter. The intersection breathes. Most intersections just sit there being confusing. There's a vending machine in Tokyo that sells umbrellas. Not cheap plastic ones that invert in the first gust. Proper quality umbrellas. And they're available 24 hours a day at subway station exits, outside convenience stores, near train platforms, essentially wherever you might find yourself suddenly needing one. Japan has approximately 5.6 million vending machines for a population of about 125 million people. That's roughly 1 machine per 22 people, which is the highest vending machine density of any country on Earth. But here's what makes this more than just a fun statistic. The products being sold. Warm meals, fresh flowers, sake and beer in appropriate, regulated locations, fishing bait, full business shirts, surgical masks long before they became globally relevant. The Japanese approach to vending infrastructure treats it as genuine retail, category-specific, location-aware, temperature-controlled, and regularly restocked with a precision that most brick-and-mortar stores struggle to match. The umbrella isn't the point. The point is that someone sat down and asked, what does a person need at exactly this spot at exactly this moment? And then they built the machine. And here is where I have to ask. If you're finding this as fascinating as I am, go ahead and hit that like button. It takes about 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who've never seen any of this before. Subscribe if you're new, because this kind of content is what we do here, and it only gets more interesting the further we go. The next few items on this list are the ones I think about at 3 in the morning wondering why no one else has copied them yet. Japan built a toilet that makes noise, not accidentally, intentionally. The Otoheim, which translates roughly to sound princess, is a device now built directly into most public toilet fixtures in Japan that plays the sound of flushing water on demand. Why? Because Japanese users, particularly women, would historically flush the actual toilet multiple times during a single visit purely to mask other sounds, wasting enormous amounts of water in the process. Rather than judge that behavior or campaign against it, someone, specifically Toto, the Japanese bathroom technology company that has been quietly revolutionizing what a toilet can do for about 5 decades, just built the solution directly into the hardware. Press a button, get the masking sound, use exactly 1 flush's worth of water when you're actually done. The Otoheim reportedly saves up to 20 liters of water per bathroom visit in facilities where it's installed. Toto also makes the washlet, the heated, self-cleaning, sensor-operated toilet seat that has turned bathroom hygiene in Japan into something genuinely closer to a spa experience than what most of the world is working with. There are Toto showrooms in Tokyo where visitors spend 45 minutes testing toilet features and leave genuinely emotional about what's been missing from their lives. That's not an exaggeration. That's a Tuesday in Shinjuku. You know that horrible moment when a parking garage is full and you've already driven up 3 levels? Japan solved this problem by essentially eliminating the parking garage as we know it and replacing it with something that looks like a cross between a storage unit and a theme park ride. Automated multi-story parking towers, called tower parking systems or Jido Chushajo, use a rotating mechanical carousel or elevator-style platform system to stack cars vertically without any human-driven ramps or internal roadways at all. You pull up to a single ground-level bay, leave your car, take a ticket, and the machine absorbs it. When you return, you scan your ticket. The system retrieves your specific car from wherever it's been stored in the structure, sometimes 20 or 30 units high, and delivers it back to you at ground level, engine facing out, ready to drive. The average retrieval time is under 2 minutes. The land footprint is a fraction of a conventional garage. Several versions of this technology now exist that can stack 100 cars in the space where a conventional lot would fit 12. In a country where urban land costs are among the highest on the planet, this isn't novelty engineering, it's survival engineering. Most countries treat train delays like weather, unpredictable, unavoidable, just part of life. Japan doesn't. The Shinkansen bullet train network, operated primarily by JR Group, has maintained an average annual delay time, across the entire network, tens of thousands of trains, millions of passengers, of under 1 minute. That's not the delay on your specific train. That's the average across all of them. And when there is a significant delay, anything over 5 minutes, the station issues a formal written delay certificate that passengers can present to their employers as documented proof that their lateness was the railway's fault. The railway takes the blame officially, in writing, because the expectation is that it simply doesn't happen. The engineering systems behind this are extraordinary. Seismic sensors embedded along the track that trigger automatic slowdowns if tremors are detected. Real-time computer monitoring of each train's position with correction algorithms running continuously, and maintenance windows scheduled so precisely that they happen overnight between the last train and the first, with teams who have practiced their sections of track so many times they can complete repairs in windows measured in minutes. The whole thing is a masterwork of operational perfection disguised as public transport. Japan invented a fruit that grows in a perfect cube, or more precisely, Japanese farmers in the 1970s, specifically in Zensuji in Kagawa Prefecture, began growing square watermelons by placing young fruit inside cubic glass molds early in their development, shaping their growth from the inside out. The result? A geometrically perfect cube-shaped watermelon that stacks neatly, fits perfectly in a standard refrigerator, requires no awkward rolling or repositioning, and frankly, looks like something from a product design portfolio rather than a farm. They later applied the same thinking to heart-shaped melons, pyramid-shaped watermelons, and various other premium novelty shapes. The square watermelons now sell for around 10,000 yen each, roughly 65 to 70 US dollars, and are primarily purchased as gifts rather than eaten because the shaping process actually halts the ripening, meaning most of them are technically decorative, which is fine. Because Japan also independently developed a category of hyper-premium fruit gifting, perfectly uniform, individually wrapped, precision-grown fruits sold in department stores at prices that would make a florist blush. Because in Japanese gift culture, the quality of what you give communicates respect. A $200 melon isn't showing off. It's showing care. The cube watermelon is just the most visually dramatic expression of a philosophy that runs through the entire food culture. The escalator in most countries runs at one speed, too slow. In Japan, the Mitsubishi Electric Corporation developed variable speed escalator technology that adjusts its pace based on passenger load, moving faster when the flow is heavy, slowing slightly when someone needs extra time, and reading approaching passengers via sensor before they even step on. But the cultural element that pairs with this technology is arguably more impressive than the machinery. Japan's deeply embedded escalator etiquette, where one side of the escalator is universally left clear for people who want to walk up or down, while the other side is for standing passengers. The specific side varies by city. Tokyo traditionally keeps left for standing, Osaka keeps right, and locals know this without signs or announcements. It just works. Visitors figure it out within about 30 seconds of watching the flow. The result is that a Japanese escalator operates at something close to maximum theoretical efficiency without anyone yelling at anyone or a single passive-aggressive sign about safety. It's a self-organizing system that works because the culture decided it would, and the escalator got faster to meet it. There's a hotel in Japan where the entire staff is robots. The Hen-Na Hotel, which literally translates as Weird Hotel, opened in 2015 near Nagasaki and was at one point certified by Guinness World Records as the world's first hotel staffed by robots. Check-in is handled by an animatronic velociraptor in a bowler hat, which is exactly as delightful and unsettling as it sounds. Your luggage is transported by a small robotic cart that follows you autonomously to your room, and facial recognition replaces the keycard entirely. Your face is your room key from the moment you check in. The robot concierge can answer questions in multiple languages, and the whole lobby runs with minimal human oversight during off-peak hours. Now, the hotel has quietly increased its human staff over the years after some early robot malfunctions caused genuine guest frustration, particularly a small in-room assistant robot that kept waking guests up by interpreting their snoring as voice commands. But the concept, the ambition, and the sheer decision to build it anyway and see what happened is pure Japan. They didn't wait for the technology to be perfect. They opened the hotel and let the hotel teach them what needed to be fixed. And honestly, that's how you learn. Japan redesigned the manhole cover. Most countries have manhole covers that are utilitarian gray discs. Heavy, functional, completely invisible unless you step on one wrong and nearly break your ankle. Japan's municipalities turned theirs into art. Across the country, more than 95% of Japanese cities now have unique, custom-designed manhole covers specific to their region. Featuring local flora, famous landmarks, mythological figures, festival imagery, seasonal themes, and in some cases, is full-color enamel artwork embedded directly into cast iron. The town of Nasu has covers featuring their famous cows. Hiroshima has covers with the Peace Memorial. Several cities along the Shinkansen route feature the bullet train itself, rendered in miniature beneath pedestrians' feet. There's a now thriving collector culture around manhole cover photography, called manholers, and dedicated walking tours in several cities built entirely around locating and photographing the most beautiful examples. A government initiative called the Japan Manhole Summit brings municipal designers together annually to share new designs. No one mandated this. Cities just started doing it independently in the 1980s, originally as a way to help local residents take pride in their city infrastructure, and it spread because it worked. The covers are still fully functional. They're just also inexplicably beautiful. When a Japanese convenience store, a konbini, which is a category that includes 7-Eleven Japan, Lawson, Family Mart, and a handful of others, runs out of something, the restocking system activates with a precision that borders on theatrical. Japan's konbini supply chain is considered by logistics experts to be among the most sophisticated retail replenishment systems on the planet. Each store receives multiple deliveries per day, In most cases, 3, one in the morning, one midday, one evening. The ordering system is AI-assisted, analyzing historical sales data, local event calendars, weather forecasts, and even social media trends to predict what each specific store will need and when. 7-Eleven. Japan reportedly places orders with a roughly 24-hour lead time and expects fulfillment within hours of ordering. The food is prepared fresh, daily, by a network of regional suppliers who exist exclusively to serve the konbini chains, small factories that produce onigiri, sandwiches, bento boxes, and hot foods on tight rotational schedules synced to the delivery windows. The result is that a store with maybe 80 square meters of floor space can offer a fresher, more accurately stocked selection than a supermarket 5 times its size, and they're open 24 hours, and there are approximately 58,000 of them. Japan didn't reinvent the corner store. Japan turned the corner store into a precision instrument. Japan built a highway that runs through the middle of a building, not next to it, not under it, through it. The Gate Tower building in Osaka is a 16-story office building with a highway off-ramp, specifically a section of the Honshin Expressway, physically passing through floors 5, 6, and 7. The highway portion is separated from the building's usable floors by buffers and shock absorbers so that vibration and sound are dramatically reduced, and the floors that the highway occupies are technically leased to the Expressway Authority, rather than being usable office space. When the building was developed in the 1980s, the land it occupied already had the expressway ITES attached. Demolishing the planned route would have cost more than integrating it. So an architect named Azuma Architects and Associates designed around the constraint so cleverly that the building went on to win the Good Design Award in Japan and become something of an architectural legend. The elevator doesn't stop on floors 5, 6, or 7. The highway barely curves to accommodate the structure. Both the building and the road just coexist, as if this was always the obvious solution, which in retrospect, it was. And then there's this, the idea that I think represents the Japanese design philosophy more completely than any single technology or system. The capsule hotel. Not the original concept. Capsule hotels have existed since the late 1970s, but what they've become. Modern capsule hotels in Japan, particularly brands like First Cabin, the Millennials in Kyoto and Shibuya, and 9 Hours, have taken the original idea of a sleeping pod and turned it into something that asks a genuinely uncomfortable question. How much space do you actually need to feel comfortable? The answer, according to these hotels, is about 4 square meters. That's it. But within those 4 square meters, you get a pod with climate control set to your preferences before you arrive. A mattress that rivals most 4-star hotel beds, integrated ambient lighting that adjusts automatically through a sleep cycle to help your body wind down and then wake up naturally, a screen, storage, charging, and in some modern versions, a small personal air purification system, the 9 Hours brand. The name refers to their recommended breakdown of an ideal night. 1 hour to bathe, 7 hours to sleep, 1 hour to prepare for the day, has built an entire identity around the science of sleep in a minimal footprint. And it works. Guests consistently report sleeping better in these pods than in conventional hotel rooms, partly because the smaller space feels more secure, partly because the pod's environment is more controllable, and partly because you stripped away everything that wasn't the sleep itself. Japan looked at the hotel room, a concept that has barely changed in 100 years, and asked what it was actually for. And then, they built exactly that. Nothing more. That's the through line in everything we've looked at today. It's not that Japan has more resources or more brilliant individuals than anywhere else. It's that they've cultivated a culture that asks consistently and seriously whether the way something has always been done is actually the best way it could be done. The heated road, the robotic hotel, the highway in the building, the toilet that thinks, the fruit that was redesigned. None of these are magic. All of them are the result of someone refusing to stop at good enough. And honestly, that's the most transferable idea of all of them. You don't need Japan's geography or its infrastructure budget to apply that question to your own work, your own city, your own problems. You just have to be willing to ask it. If this video gave you that feeling, that slightly frustrated, slightly inspired, why don't we do this feeling, share it with someone. Hit like if you want the algorithm to show this to more people who'd appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to stay on this particular rabbit hole with me, because there is so much more to cover. I'll see you in the next one.